What's up, listeners? This is the first episode of the Meat Market Network. I am Butch. I'm here with my co-host Chip, and we'll be breaking down any grievances or updates, some contender trackers, what have you for this league. It's been at a little bit of a standstill the last 13 days with no movement on the trade market. So we won't touch on any trades today. We will take some call-ins and then go over some matchups leading into the week one of the fantasy season. Chip, what do we got on the matchups?
So, week one matchups, the lines have come out. Now, these are early lines. You could expect to see a little movement here. Guy goes down in training camp, potentially a little bit of, space might open up on a roster somewhere. These are subject to change. But why don't we start off with your matchup here versus Chief Steve? Chief Steve is a plus 847 underdog. He's coming into this matchup. He's made a lot of moves in the offseason. I mean, where are you at with this one, being such a heavy favorite, opening up the season with a guy like Chief Steve?
I would say don't be surprised if Chief Steve makes this closer than the books have it right now. He's bolstering up a receiving core that is no one's really touching this receiving core right now. If you get Tony Pollard or Jalen Warren or one of these, God-forsaken running backs some points week one, I'm looking like I might be in bad shape. Um, Chief Steve is one trade away from really, putting the league on notice with this roster. He's got two Caucasian quarterbacks at the helm. That pans out well for the NFL. And then we got Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Marvin Harrison, Lad McConkey, in the receiver spot. So he's young and he's good. I'm not extra worried. I've been through tougher battles in this league. So week one, I won't, hang my hat on a win. I won't hang my hat on a loss.
Just to round it out, you're 17 and a half point favorite. I can't lie. That line, I'm interested in that line. Just looking at what Chief Steve's bringing into battle here, I might take Chief Steve to cover that 17 and a half point spread.
There's some value on the points for sure.
Okay, moving forward, you got gushing farting versus Kyle Lark. Farting is a plus 229 underdog. What are you seeing going into that?
You know, I'm looking at his lineup and he's got David Montgomery on the bench, all right? Now, maybe he swaps that with Tyrone Tracy. I don't know what's going to happen, leading into camp. But let me ask you a question. Tyrone Tracy goes into the season number one on the depth chart. Montgomery's still in the 50-50. You starting Tracy versus Washington week one? Are you starting David Montgomery versus the Packers, which may be a high-scoring game? He's going to be facing that decision.
It's a tough. I'm leaning Tyrone Tracy, man. I'm looking at what the Giants did last year in those early games with Singletary. Tyrone Tracy knows the offense. He's going to be a quarterback's best friend coming out of the backfield there. I think he's going to get the volume. I think Scatterboot probably sees in those first couple weeks somewhere between 8 to 11 carries a game, and then maybe it ramps up as he gets the offense, kind of works into different personnel groups. But you don't always show everything week one, which is why I think you'll get a little heavier dosage of a Tyrone Tracy, especially in a divisional matchup, right? You got the Redskins. Maybe you do have something in the scat pack, and maybe you don't want to show your hand too quick. So I think Tyrone Tracy's a safe play there. But when I look at Gushing Farting's roster, when I look at what he's built over there, you don't want to find yourself on the lower end of a predicted spread going into week one. That's what I'll say. Cause for concern, or where are you at with that for Gushing Farting?
If I'm being completely transparent, this line's going to change, and it's not because of who's on the roster now. It's who's acquiring what. I think Gushing and Fartin is primed to make some more moves this offseason, and hell, September's pretty far away, so I got a feeling this line's going to move.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Moving forward here, we got Evan Dodgen versus the Harry Bushwhacker. Now, say what you want about Harry Bushwhacker, whose transactions will be put under a microscope later in this episode, but he is coming into week one as a minus 594 favorite. I'm taking Genty's jurisdiction money line on that just as a,
A
give me,
sprinkle.
yeah, just sprinkle it out there, maybe a little sweetheart teaser. But where are you at with that matchup?
if you're Harry Bushwhacker right now, I don't think you want to win this game. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you got the Texans stack in there. It's probably carrying about 45 points of his projected point total. Um, I mean, James Cook, projected 14 points right now. He's having contract disputes. We'll see what happens over there in Buffalo. You got Cooper Cup, sitting on the bench, projected 9 points. I can tell you one thing: Cooper Cup could score you 4 points. He could score you 14 points. I don't know how this Seattle offense is going to look with him. Purdy maybe takes a snooze now that he gets paid. We don't know what Purdy we're going to get now that he's a rich man. And you got Najee Harris in your flex spot if you're Harry Bushwhacker, and he's projected 8 points. I think he beats that 8 point total, the first 4 weeks of the season. I don't know how much dosage of Amarion Hampton we're going to get early on this season. But Genty's jurisdiction, pulling off a hell of an offseason, if I'm going to be quite frank, still has his powerhouse quarterbacks. He started Isaiah Pacheco, but I don't hate that. There's a lot of Isaiah Pacheco slander going around in the league, and I don't really stand for that. I mean, when I'm looking at his bench, some offseason buzz could really turn around this point total and maybe swing Genty's jurisdiction as a favorite. We got Emeka Ibuka, Adonai Mitchell, Travis Etienne on the bench. I'm talking one injury away where projections start to skyrocket for these players.
I think you said it best, man. I mean, he's got Jordan Love and Justin Herbert, two young blue chip quarterbacks. Look, the Olave and Addison projections, the Godwin project, those could be low. Those are conservative in my book. I would not be surprised if those climbed up somewhere between the 12 to 14 point mark projection.
Bef-
Closer to the
before
special.
before we move on, let me just throw something out there and see. Call me crazy, all right? Chris Olave is projected for 10 points against the Arizona Cardinals week 1. You get Tyler Shook out there week 1 and all of a sudden he blows up the league. I mean, I guarantee you Chris Olave is scoring more than 10 points. So I think Genty's projections are a little low. I mean, Travion Henderson is projected 0 points. That's going to bake into the line, definitely. So we'll touch back, in a few weeks on these lines and see how they moved.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Moving forward to the Brandalorian, he is a plus 131 underdog against G Money Meyer. Where you at with that matchup?
G Money Meyer has made a way for himself in this league, and I'm looking at his roster, and he traded away Lamar Jackson a couple weeks ago, and all of us, we had that live reaction for you guys, but just doubling back and taking a peek at what he's got in the stable, I mean, it's still looking good. It's still looking good. If you get a healthy Christian McCaffrey, who's projected the most on his team right now, I mean, who knows what happens week in and week out with Christian McCaffrey, but the Brandalorian who has made moves as well. I mean, I like his starting lineup. No super flex quarterback. He's going with the receiver in the super flex spot. I mean, I don't think he really has an option there, but I mean, boomer bust team over there. You got Tedero McMillan on the bench. All right. Now let me tell you something about Tedero McMillan. As the summer comes to an end here in a few months, Tedero McMillan's projected 11 points right now. He could jump up to 16 points come week 1. Best believe that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. He's built a good team over there. He's one of the general managers I think you got to keep an eye on throughout this season, because he could be one of those teams that really flips the numbers there on the win projection. And if you're curious what his future market kind of setup is looking like at the moment, I can get you that here. I believe his win total is set at 6.5. But let me just be sure. Season wins. We got the Brandalorian set at 11 wins. Okay. The projected record is 11-17, which is what he was last year. Currently sitting at minus 110. I mean, are you buying into that at all? Is 12 enticing to you?
I made a few moves with the Brandalorian, and now that I'm looking at his roster, I'm thinking I may have helped him out a little too much. All right, now it's good for the league and it's good for my roster because I'm happy with the moves I made. But if this guy acquires a quarterback, if he's willing to sell future picks, maybe, I mean, we're talking about an in the hunt type of roster. Jacoby Myers, who didn't drop a pass all last season. Devontae Smith, as you know, is a trusted 14 points a week. Xavier Worthy booming and busting on your roster, no Diddy. And then you got Chuba Hubbard, who was what, running back 12 last year? Running back 14 last year. So I like his lineup. He's just missing a quarterback right now. I think Joe Burrow at the helm, definitely carries a little bit of weight being a top five QB in Dynasty. But when I'm looking at Akipo Del Caffrey, mind you, used to be Akipo Del LJ, but he's hanging his hat on McCaffrey now. So we'll see what he does over there. Travis Kelce, did they hold him? Did they let him run? I heard he lost 25 pounds this offseason. Neither here nor there if you're buying into that. Brees Hall. There's some question marks of percentage of play over there, snap wise. Don't love his receivers, but he's got something going on, that's for sure.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Um, Rounding this out. Well, actually, I got ahead of myself here. We have two more. We got Noah Furrow versus Riley Gary. Noah Furrow's sitting at plus 531 odds. I mean, are you biting there at all? Are you building parlays with Noah Furrow's team attached anywhere?
Press the button, Chip, because this is the matchup of the week, I believe. I mean, look, if you look at these rosters, I mean, the tush pusher, Riley Gary. Um, Nothing but vets on the roster, but these guys score points nonetheless. From top to bottom, you got a bunch of guys household names in fantasy football, all right? And then you go on the other side and you're looking at Trust the Process and Noah Furrow, and you got kind of got a hodgepodge mix of guys, some older vets, some young bucks that put up points, and with Jameson Williams, George Pickens, and Garrett Wilson, it's boom or bust. It's all or nothing in those players. And George Pickens being in a new environment. I mean, we got Cam Ward in his super flex already. He made that pick at 104. Bryce Young on the bench. We'll see what happens. Um, Trust the Process as a team. You got to keep your eye on. I think. A quieter manager, doesn't really make many moves. So keep your eye on what he's got, going on in the shadows.
Absolutely. And in rounding this whole thing out, you got Nick Friedel versus yours truly here. Now, Nick Friedel is a minus 949 favorite here. You're looking at that line. Are you buying points down, or are you throwing a little money in the direction of my squad? I mean, look, you could say what you want, but we're going into this matchup looking to take out a Titan in the space.
This would be a classic stay away for me on the book. I'm enjoying the game on the TV, but I'm not gonna sprinkle any cash this way. Just a little bit risky. I don't see value in taking Nick minus 900 or whatever it was, and I don't see the points just don't entice me here. All right, I'm going.
Minus 18 and a half. I mean, is there a shot we cover? I mean, you got week one, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson. He's probably gonna be running a lot more than he's throwing.
Week one does tend to have some outlier performances. You could have a Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas drop 35 week one, and then for the rest of the season, not touch that number again. So who knows going into week one? I mean, I'm looking at the matchups. You got DeAndre Swift in primetime football on Monday night. You got Brian Thomas versus Carolina. I like this Carolina matchup for your Jaguars on your roster. Does Travis Hunter play less receiver week one, more receiver week one? It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds for your development.
Look, Friedel, I'm calling my shot. We're kicking your motherfucking ass week one. You better show up. You better show up ready. You better show up humble. Because we got a can of whoop ass to open up.
All right, Chip.
And
All right, Chip. We're on live. We're on the network.
yeah, we got a can of whoop ass. We're gonna break out for you week one. So if you don't come ready, brother, pack a lunch. We might just take it. But we did get a call in here from a concerned manager. Now he's coming off the heels of a 4-24 season, but don't get caught up in that. Okay, they've got something they're building over there. It's special. And so let's hear what he's got to say. All right, here we go. Getting a call in from Gentil's Jurisdiction.
Thanks for taking my call here today. I just wanted to ask a question. What is our outlook on Mr. Jonathan Brooks here? First running back taken in the draft last season, coming off a second torn ACL in the right knee. I think he's going to be 23 when he comes back for the 2026 season, as he's probably going to be out the entire year this year. But just wanted to see what you guys think the outlook is for Mr. Brooks and what to do with him going forward.
What do you got on Jonathan Brooks? 23 before he's really going to have any significant NFL experience. That'll be 2 years on the pup. I mean, where are you at with Brooks?
This is just an unfortunate one. A player that had high hopes going into the league, already dealing with an injury right before he got drafted, and then gets on the NFL field and then injures himself again. Luckily, he's a younger player, and the medicine is better than it was 30 years ago, because this was 2002. That guy would be working at Walmart. So, Jonathan Brooks not holding a lot of value right now. Keep trade cuts got him at RB 50. Okay, you're looking at about a third round pick to get Jonathan Brooks. Now, am I sending a third round pick for Brooks? I don't really see the need to. Am I selling him for a third round pick? I don't really see the need to. I think it's just a classic roster clog that you got your fingers crossed that something pans out. Panthers go over there. They signed Rico Dowdle to a contract. They got Chuba Hubbard, who had a fantastic season last year. And then they go out and draft Trevor Etienne, the brother of Travis Etienne. Jonathan Brooks not looking good over there for you. Luckily dodging, you got Genty, you got Travion Henderson. I'm sure you're not too worried about Brooks. Chip, what would you do with Jonathan Brooks if he was on your roster? I know you got a younger team. You know what to do with these kind of guys.
If you're a Jonathan Brooks owner, I think at this point, you got to marry the investment. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to marry it the way that you would marry an investment on a beachfront property in Malibu. But, perhaps this is an Airstream trailer that you can get a little usage out of, on the weekends, and it can, provide some value for you moving forward. If I got a third, I'd probably take it, because I think the likelihood that Brooks comes back and is a contributor at a high level is probably pretty low. Um, but hey, hold on to that lottery ticket a little longer yet, because they haven't called the numbers, right? So let him get on the field before you sell it, perhaps. It's no man's land. He's in no man's land.
Just to give you, like some hope, looking forward to something. Adrian Peterson tore his ACL, came back, looked great. There's other players that have torn their ACL and still had an NFL career. I think for Brooks, it's a little different because it's twice to the same knee. And we really never got to see, what his ceiling was in the NFL. Our sample size is still, him over there in college, which, it only counts for so much once you get to the big leagues.
No, I agree with you. I think we gave him solid insight here. I think we said about what needs to be said in the Jonathan Brooks story. Breaking down, it was a quiet week, but don't there was some players that hit the waiver wire. There were some players that were taken off the waiver wire. There's some players put on the trade block. I want to throw a couple of these names at you that were put on the trade block, and I just want to, I want to gauge your interest here. Uh, Starting off with Brenton Strange. He was put on the trade block by Harry Bushwhacker. Is Brenton Strange raising any eyebrows over there in your war room?
Um, I'm not a big tight end guy. This league is nor tight end premium, so Brent Strange doesn't really get me too excited. I think Harry Bushwhacker's just trying to, claw at any value he can get, which more power to him. I'd probably be doing the same thing. I might move a little differently than he would, but neither here nor there. Brenton Strange should be the starting tight end in Jacksonville for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's fair. If you're a tight end needy team and you're looking to acquire Brenton Strange, Harry Bushwhacker has put him on the market. There were a few other acquisitions off the waiver wire that I want to run by you. There was a $10 bid on Elijah Mitchell, running back, Kansas City. Uh,
Elijah Mitchell. I'm pulling up the transaction. We dropped Parker Washington, another Jaguar, to acquire Elijah Mitchell, 27-year-old running back now with the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw some moments, on the Niners that this player looked more than relevant, more than competent, but he never got the full role. And then, last year, I don't know if you're in tune with the Elijah Mitchell story, but he had to get surgery for his hamstring. Soft tissue injuries never tend to bode well with running backs, just something to keep in mind. Now, a measly $10 would be about 10% of your fab budget. So if you're willing to drop 10% of your fab for Elijah Mitchell, so be it. I will not be partaking in that, though.
that's fair. And then we got one more for you. DeVaughn Vele. There was a $10 bid put out on DeVaughn Vele, wide receiver out of Denver, the 27-year-old, I guess he would be 28 now, guy in his second year. I mean, where are you at with DeVaughn Vele's acquisition?
I didn't know this guy was so old. Is this a COVID? Is this a COVID player? We got one of those COVID guys.
COVID plus Mormon?
Mormon?
Yeah, Devon Vele, I
Was he
believe.
on a he was on a mission or something? What?
I do believe that is the case. His birthday is December 12th, 97.
So he will be turning 28 at the end of this season.
That is
He is
correct.
older than a lot of players, but DeVaughn Vele had some weeks last year. He finished with more than 10 points. 7 weeks of last year. He finished with more than 10 points. Maybe one of those bye-week fill-in type of guys. I don't know what Sean Payton's got drawn up for DeVaughn Vele. If I'm looking at his picture, he's kind of got some Halliburton in him. It looks like Halliburton. Neither here nor there. DeVaughn Vele. I think Pat Bryant takes that Vele role over there in Denver. That's just my guess. I'm still a Cortland Sutton guy, and I think Marvin Mims is primed for a breakout. So I don't know about DeVaughn Vele, but for another 10% of your fab budget, do what you got to do to boost that roster.
And just rounding this whole thing out, when you look at it, in hindsight, because sometimes the waiver wire gets you, right? It could be a Tuesday and you're itchy, you're looking at the roster, a high ankle here, yeah, soft tissue injury there, and all of a sudden you're in the Devon Vele market. Uh, when you're looking at somebody spend 20% of their cap on Vele and Mitchell, what does that indicate anything to you as far as where they're aiming this season? I mean, do you have any indication where the Bushwhacker has his sights set for 2025 and beyond?
I think it just goes to show how thin the wire is right now for us. I mean, there's just not a lot of murmurs going on in camp yet. Once the rumors start and the whispers about undrafted free agent name blah blah blah, or 40-year-old tight end looking good, all the BS you hear in camp, then you start to see a little bit more money getting spent on the waiver wire. 20% of your fab for these two guys. I mean, I'm not gonna knock you for it. I mean, I know you're not gonna have lots of transactions over this off season. I think all the good players tend to get swiped up off the waiver wire pretty early, so now you're looking at the crumbs. Um, maybe one of these guys turns into something. You get some injuries in Kansas City. You got Elijah Mitchell for 3 weeks on a 3-week rental, and you spent $10 on him over the summer. DeVaughn Vele scores a touchdown here or there. 27 years old in year two is actually crazy. I'm about to go grab my cleats here, Chip, and strap him up if DeVaughn Vele is out there making a name for himself. Yeah, that kind of winds up our waiver wire pickups this last week or so.
Not too much more to add here at the end of the episode, but I think something that could be fun here. Give me your best week one parlay. Do you have anything here? I can shoot you over the link again. If you were going to cook up a parlay for week one, uh, you know, what are you looking at here? Let me get this link in front of you so you can see it again.
I'm
Probably, a little three-teamer. What do you spread? Total money line? I mean, there's options here. What are you going
I'm
for?
looking, Chip. I'm looking. When I want to use my money on gambling, I tend to dive a little deeper. You caught me on the spot here. Let me just see what I can do for a 3-legger. Keep it simple. I'm going to take the Brandalorian money line as my first leg. I'm taking Gentie's Jurisdiction. I'm taking the points as my second leg. So I got the Brandalorian money line, Evan Dodgen's points, and I'm going with something a little more sure, and I'll add Kyle Lark's money line. That'll give me a 3-legger. Should be plus money.
Oh yeah. So this, $100 on each leg here, $300 wager on this parlay. This would pay out $559.
I think I'm going to leave it there. I got enough stakes in other leagues. I can't be spending all my money on, parlays nowadays.
That's fair. I mean, I think that just about does it. This is episode 1, Meat Market Network. Again, guys, if you got grievances to air, call in, let us know.
Call in the show, fellas. Let's hear what you got to say. I try to get a deal done with so-and-so. You don't need to say his name. He's blowing his name. Air it out, man. Air it out. We all know each other here. Let's talk about it. And that's all I got. It's Butch, and it's Chip, and this is the Meat Market Network.